in the wood, rising with the break of day. Iron men came with swords of steel, came to get all away. Dark shadow came to the land where time is ordered by the sun and the stars. People of hope fought with all their might, still had to run so far. Wizard left with their potions flying, retreat to the valley of time, never more to be seen again, and the bells did chime. Families fought out in bloody war, some fight to this day. In fact, there is killing in every place. Guess it's got to be that way. We used to ramble in the woods, rising with the break of day. The landmen came with swords of steel, came to get all away. Scars and rags is all we'll wear when they come to take us away. Scars and rags is all we'll wear when we're buried in the haze. We used to ramble in the woods, rising with the break of day. The iron men came with swords of steel, they came and took it all away.
Hello, Hawaii Book and Music Festival. Hello to all of our attendees. My name is Taylor Bogan. I am here to talk about a piece of musical works that I have been planning for the last year or so. This is going to be my thesis to graduate the University of Hawai at Manoa. I am directing and starring in the children's musical Interstellar Cinderella, which is a modern or futuristic, I should say, take on the classic fairy tale Cinderella, but with a little bit of a twist to the ending. I am a third-year MFA student in the TYA, that's Theater for Young Audiences program at the university. So like I said, this is my final year and the final piece that I am showing for myself. And I am thrilled to be here to share some of that process with you and to also share some of the amazing source material, which is the children's book by the same name by author Deborah Underwood. I'd like to take this time to introduce my two fabulous actors who are here with me, who are a part of this production and have made it so special. So I'm going to pass it over to Karese and Jill. Karese, if you want to start us off and introduce yourself and what you are doing as a part of our production.
Hi everyone, my name is Karese Kaw-uh, and I am a first year Theater for Young Audiences MFA major at UH Mānoa. And I play Hulla. She is a very mean stepsister. But that is my character. So, Jill?
Hello, I'm Jill Jackson. I'm a first year MFA and 2IA student at UHM, and I am playing one head of the two-headed fairy godbot. Super cool.
Awesome. And these guys have been such an amazing part of the process. These auditions, although our show is officially going to be streaming for wherever you may stream shows, starting October 22nd, as is the way of many theater productions, is many people don't know how long it takes to essentially arrive at that show process. So these guys auditioned for me all the way back before they were on island, before they had started school. They were auditioning for me at the end of our last semester in the springtime. And so throughout this summer, we have all been in our respective places, getting the chance to look over the material and start our character work. And as soon as we started the semester at the end of August, we started our rehearsals and have been going ever since. We're now running our show most rehearsal days and cleaning up and getting ready to make it performance ready for everyone. So I'd like to talk a little bit about the inspiration for where the show came from. I'm going to share a few slides with you. So, when I was thinking about the show Interstellar Cinderella and thinking about my thesis, I wanted to find a piece that was going to be a blend of all of the things I love about performing and that I love about children's theater specifically. So I was looking for a story that could empower women, empower young girls specifically, and also teach just a valuable lesson about the kindness and help that you can show your friends and how that really transfers to making you a better person as well. And because I was a voice teacher for 10 years before I began my journey as a graduate student, I really was interested in incorporating music and musical theater specifically into my final performance. So Interstellar Cinderella seemed like the absolute perfect blend of all of the things that I love. But my main inspiration when I originally found this book and then later on this musical was my younger siblings. I have 3 siblings right now who are all under the age of 10. So they are in the prime demographic for this book and this musical, and I remember watching them learn the phases of the moon with Oreo cookies. As you can see in the picture, each page shows you how to make a different phase of the moon, and I thought that was so lovely, and I loved the way they were so excited to explore space and to explore learning in sort of this hands-on way. And once I found this show, it just felt like the perfect mix, and it was something that I knew that I could show my siblings and be really proud of the product. And also, as much as the musical is very similar to the book in many ways, there are also changes in aesthetics to the first run of the musical. And for me, I wanted to take a trip back to the source material itself, which was the book by Deborah Underwood. And so I was really inspired by the colors and the aesthetics of the book. So for our show poster, this image right here of Cinderella and her little mouse Murgatroyd sort of looking up at the sky and dreaming about their lives and the ways that they can change the world seemed to really sum up everything that I was hoping to get from this show. So that was a major source of inspiration for our actual poster for the show itself. So I am of the belief that we are all children, no matter what age we grow to. We are still kids at heart. And so I think it would be wonderful to be able to share with you all the source material itself, the book Interstellar Cinderella. So I am thrilled to have Karese and Jill here to help me read this to you, and so that you guys can get a background on what this musical means to us as a cast and what we're hoping our audiences will take out of it. So enjoy Interstellar Cinderella. Once upon a planetoid, amid her tools and sprockets, a girl named Cinderella dreamed of fixing fancy rockets.
She fixed the robot dishwashers and Zoom brooms in her care, but late each night she snuck away to study ship repair.
One day, her wicked stepsisters came dashing in, excited. The Prince's Royal Space Parade! Our family's invited! I wish that you could come, my dear. Alas, no room. Although, why don't you fix that broken ship and fly it to the shore?
My toolbox, Cinderella cried. We're stranded here, I guess. But Murgatroyd the mouse sent out a cosmic SOS.
I'm here, your fairy god robot. I'll make you brand new tools. You'll need a spacesuit too, of course. Atomic blue with jewels. This power gem will speed your ship across the starry sky. It only lasts till midnight. After that, your ship won't fly. Oh, thank you, Cinderella said. She quickly fixed the rocket, then tucked the sonic socket wrench inside her spacesuit pocket.
She zoomed past stars and nebulae and parked beside a moon. The space parade was glorious. Each starship made her swoon. At last, the royal ship approached. Her heart was filled with yearning. The ship of Cinderella's dreams, but heavens, what was burning?
The prince's spaceship jerked and hissed and spewed a cloud of grit. The prince hopped out. Oh blast, what now? My chief mechanic quit.
But Interstellar Cinderella knew just what to do. She zip-zapped with her socket wrench. The ship was good as new. The prince invited her aboard. Last stop, Galactic Hall. He said, I hope you'll join me for the gravity-free ball.
They talked for hours of rocket ships. The time went whizzing by. Then Cinderella saw the clock and said, I have to fly. But wait, the prince called after her. Please tell me how to find. The girl was gone, but she had left her socket wrench behind.
The prince sent a transmission to the farthest edge of space. I'll search the cosmos for her. How I wish I'd seen her face.
The prince's ship, Grisella screeched. Her sister squealed in fear. The prince won't marry one of us if Cinderella's here. Their mother said, don't worry, he won't find her in this house. I've trapped her in the attic with that useless robot mouse.
The prince's cargo door revealed a broken craft within. The girl I seek can fix a ship, so who'd like to begin?
He gave the sonic socket wrench to one, then to the other. Alas, they couldn't fix the ship, and neither could their mother.
Cinderella struggled, but the space rope held her tight, till Murgatroyd's robotic teeth cut through it with one bite. The ship, it's leaving! Wait, what's this? She made a fast repair, then strapped the rusty jetpack on and blasted through the air.
She landed right beside the prince. That wrench is mine, she cried. She quickly fixed the ailing ship. The prince said, be my bride. She thought this over carefully. Her family watched in panic. I'm far too young for marriage, but I'll be your chief mechanic.
Amid her fleet of sparkling ships and friends both old and new, a joyful Cinderella cried, my stars, dreams do come true. And that is the book story of Interstellar Cinderella. So I'm sure Karese and Jill, you must have Some thoughts about all the different changes that happened between the story that was told and sort of where the musical picks up. So, what were some of the things that you noticed or that helped you get into character from source material to the actual musical?
Yeah. So playing, as you can see in the images, the stepsisters, they are so fun. Like their characteristics and their faces, just the way that the illustrations are, just showed a lot. And so then when we got into the book, or for the script, just reading all of the characters and how they were portrayed, I could just imagine these mean stepsisters. And just their characteristics based on reading the book itself. So that was that was pretty fun to see.
Yeah, and for me, in the book, we have a fairy god bot, which is so fun, and I love that. And in the show, we have a two-headed fairy god bot, which is just awesome because, we have this robot mouse, and then we have a two-headed fairy god bot, and they are portrayed differently in the show. We have a puppet mouse, and then we have two humans for the fairy god bot, and that's been really fun to kind of find a dynamic duo within the fairy godbot character.
Absolutely. And one of the things I think that has been an important part of the journey is that this book is obviously a very short children's book. And the exciting part about being in this show is that it is a full 50 to 60-minute long production that gets to expand on all of these characters that we never maybe got to see a redemption of or what their dreams were. So it's been exciting to be able to explore all of these supporting characters and all of these different people within Cinderella's story and to see how each of them sort of get what they need at the end of the story as well. So I'm going to go back and share screen with you all again, and we're going to take a look at some of our process and production here. So a lot goes into the production. Obviously, we have designers of all sorts. We have a set designer and a props designer who, like Jill and Karese had mentioned, we have a large robo mouse that is controlled by one puppeteer, and we also have an amazing costume designer, Jessie, who put together these amazing renderings that we then got to see get constructed and created. And then we got to see, these characters come to life when the actors were able to come in person and try these costumes on. What has the costume process been like for you guys, Karese and Jill? Did it help you get into the character to be able to get, your costume pieces or your wigs or your makeup?
Absolutely. Our costume designer is amazing, just so amazing. And the moment, especially as an actor, it's one thing to take the character, like you're portraying it, you're telling a story on stage for people. But when you're in costume and when you have this makeup on, I think it's transformational. It just boosts, it adds to the feeling because here it's coming to life. And so the process, we had a couple of fittings, and we tried on different things just to make sure they fit, and constantly trying to see measurements. But then with makeup, we also we did makeup fittings to try on makeup, and we wear wigs in the show. So I have this bright, tall green wig, just so it's okay, how can this stay on my head? How am I supposed to move, or how does this affect my movement? But in reality, it just boosts this character so much. It's great.
Yes, I agree. Having a costume and getting to see it and feel it on me and get to wear it. I have this awesome skirt that's really flowy and poofy, and it's very fun. Yeah, I wear a rehearsal skirt, you could see in the bottom right picture, to help me, be able to play with my skirt. And when we're doing the dance moves, I'm like, oh, okay, this is how it feels to do these in a skirt similar to the one I will wear in the show. And that's been really fun, and really cool to get into character that way, because if you're just told, oh, you're playing a robot, then you think, oh, very jerky movements, and I'll probably have a really monotone robot voice. But it's fun that my robot has a skirt, and so then she can be flowy and she can play with her skirt every once in a while. And like Karese was saying, our wigs are so cool. The Godbot wigs are made of yarn, which is so fun and so playful. And so I love that we're kind of breaking the mold of what you would think of as a robot, and they can be mechanical, but then also she can like swish her skirt or have a wig made of yarn. And it very much plays into the idea of play and whimsy in this show. It's very cool.
Absolutely. So we obviously have been rehearsing during the time of a pandemic, so that has changed our rehearsal process quite a bit. As you can see from our rehearsal shots, we like to keep safe and we are masked during our rehearsal process. So we sing, dance, and act all through this process, just like you see here. In the right corner, you'll see our choreographer, Jessica Israel, working with our wonderful Godbots. As Jill was mentioning, you can see her rehearsal skirt. As the process has progressed, we have also added rehearsal shoes so that you can really feel the weight of the shoes you're going to be wearing on the stage and how that's also going to affect the way that you move. We just, like Karese was saying, added in some of our wigs too, which is another great way to sort of access how your character is going to feel differently than yourself. So we are really in an exciting part of the process because we now have a fully completed set. We now have almost all of our props, all of our little set dressings are coming together, and we are now starting the rehearsal process with costume pieces or wigs. And this has been a wonderful show to be able to experiment with makeup as well, because it's very rare that you get to do a piece that is set in a time that is not your own and that is futuristic, and that you can sort of decide what does that future look like. So yes, Jessie has been wonderful not only with costumes but also creating these sort of identities through makeup and hair with our characters as well. So Karese and Jill, what has the rehearsal process been like, sort of coming back after a while of maybe not being in person as much and being in a space with people again and putting on a musical?
It's refreshing. It's it's nice to be back with fellow artists and to be able to create this story. It's different as well because of following COVID protocol, but we want to make sure that everyone is safe, and just learning to navigate around that. But it's still, theater is possible and live theater is possible, and it's just really nice because especially throughout the pandemic, like, people were looking to art for just this new hope, and we're able to come back into this space and say, yes, here it is. So I think that's the biggest thing that for me, and Jill, you could speak more on the process too, I'm sure.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it, but on our first day of in-person rehearsals, I walked into the theater and I saw Taylor and our other cast members, and my heart filled with butterflies, and I was so excited. And of course I was excited to be back in theater after pandemic, of course, but I wasn't expecting to be that filled with excitement, and it was just so good. And it's so fun to be doing such a joy-filled show too right now. It's just great.
That's excellent. And that's also, it wasn't necessarily because, again, these shows are picked so far in advance of events that you never really know what time you're kind of opening this show in. And I think it's wonderful that we're celebrating in this show science and people helping other people. I think that's so important for this time, and to be able to share that message, especially with young children, has been a really exciting process for us. And I know for myself, it's been such a thrill to finally be back to directing in person. The last 2 or 3 things I've directed have either been in a audio recorded podcast form, remote filming in multiple locations wherever people are located themselves. So it's been thrilling to be able to bring everybody back to one central location, find ways to make it work, and again have such a wonderful supportive cast that is able to roll with it as things develop and change over time. So these are some of our promo pictures I'll share with you all. This is a preview of some of our costume pieces, some of the promo for the show. We have Prince Astral. As I mentioned, we were very inspired by the books, so keeping him in these purple colors was something that had been talked about early on, that we wanted it to feel bright and colorful, and to maybe not follow the norms of what we think a prince may look like, and to let him have a little bit more fun. Here you can see a preview of our wonderful robot Murgatroyd, who is made by our designer Kara. He is able to be fully wheeled around the stage and is essentially almost as tall as our puppeteer himself. So he is life-size and we interact with him. He has a movable arm, so he can actually grab things, he can wave, he can really interact. He also has the ability to blink his eyes, and his eyes light up. So there is actual animation going on within the puppet that our wonderful actor Gage has been able to just really bring him to life in such a wonderful way. So that's been thrilling to watch. And we also have over here some more promo pictures. We've got this beautiful picture of Prince Astral with his curly purple hair. And as Karese mentioned, the wigs only get larger and larger from here. And we get to see some of our planets in the background here as well, which is very exciting. Our lighting designer, Claire Paul, is going to be able to project things onto our planets. So you'll see rocket ships flying across the stage. We have sound effects. And all of those elements, as we draw closer to the show, which is a little under 2 weeks away, we really get to see those start to flourish in this environment. So I would love to share with you a video from our process working the show. This is the number rocket ship run that actually ends our performance. We do this after the finale of the show, and we encourage all of our audience when we're streaming to get up and join us and feel free to move around and learn from the actors. We tell you what you'll be doing. We tell you to follow us. You're gonna spin, you're gonna jump, you're gonna do all sorts of things. So this is definitely an exciting way to involve the audience in a way that even if you're watching at home, you can feel like you're a part of the action on stage. So this is from a recent rehearsal of ours, and this is Rocket Ship Run.
Hello, Hawaii Book and Music Festival. We are the cast of Interstellar Cinderella, and we are going to do one of our songs and dances for you right now. It's called Rocket Ship Run. It's super painless and easy. If you want to follow along at home, you can do the dance moves with us. We'll help you along the way. It'll be great. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off! Another rocket ship run. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off! Another rocket ship run. Take me to the sun. When I get there, I'll go spinning through the air. Spinning around the sun. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off! Another rocket ship run. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off! Another rocket ship run. Take me to the moon. When I get there, I'll go dancing through the air, dancing on the moon. Dance with us. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off! Another rocket ship run. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off! Another rocket ship run. Take me to the stars. Take me to the stars. When I get there, I'll go jumping through the air, jumping from star to star. Woo! 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off! Another rocket ship run. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off! Another rocket ship run. Take me to the air. Take me 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Blast off! Another rocket ship run.
All right, so that was a little taste of Rocket Ship Run and what you can expect from our production when we do perform. And like I mentioned, it is going to be going up around October, which is so soon, October 22nd. We're about 2 weeks out from the show now. We have our tech weeks starting on the 16th, and that's when we do all of the lighting cues, all of the sound cues, and when the official show will be ready to run. So Jill and Karese, what was it like to work with our choreographer Jessica, especially on Rocket Ship Run, which was such an interactive one? What's that process been like for the both of you?
It's been great. Jessica is a fantastic choreographer. I don't come from the most dancey background, but Jessica really works with us so well, and the way she explains the choreography. So yeah, we just kept practicing. She taught us in small segments, and then we pieced it together kind of like a puzzle, just learning or finding the different bits and then putting them all together, which has just been wonderful.
I think, yes, Jessica is so good at creating very creative choreography that also looks good on everyone, and everyone can pick it up and do it really well and do a good job with it. But it's so imaginative, and it's so fun to watch her choreography on my fellow cast members, and then also to do her choreography myself.
Absolutely, yes. And Karese, I totally understand. As someone who always says that they are an actor, singer first and then dancer second, it's been wonderful to work with someone who not only works with adults, but works with children and works with people who are maybe non-dancers or not dancers as their first skill set. And it's been wonderful to have not only a supportive environment for us as the performers, but also a supportive environment to share that back with our audience at the end and teach them, you know, a thing or two about Rocket Ship Run. I'd also like to let you know that anytime you all have questions, any of our wonderful audience watching, feel free. I'd love to be able to pass that along to my actors as well. What would you all say has been the most challenging part of doing this production so far? I know for myself, and this is a very specific thing, but for myself, being both the director and also performing as Cinderella in this production has been quite a lot of work, but I've enjoyed it, and I've enjoyed being able to work with my cast in that setting. But it has been interesting to try and balance wearing many hats to one rehearsal, where designers may need me, but my actors also need me, and being able to have such a fantastic team in my director, my assistant director, Elizabeth Ganaway, in my choreographer, Jessica, in my music director, Justin, being able to have all of these people who are I trust and feel so confident in their talents and abilities that I've been able to delegate in ways to be able to help alleviate some of the pressure of having so many different things going on. But it's been quite a challenge, but a challenge that I think was important for me as a director because of somebody who wants to be able to not only direct but also perform and keep those two elements as a major part of my life. And as Jill and Karese probably know, being in theater for young audiences, it is so rare that you are ever just one thing. We are often asked to do things that maybe actors in a regular play for adults may not. We are puppeteers, we are our own crew sometimes, we are creating and devising and coming up with performances, and a lot of times those are gonna be at so many different times of the day. We're also performing another piece right now that travels, and between all of our schedules, I know it's been quite a process of being able to be present for all of our activities and challenges there. Do you guys have anything to add?
Yeah, well, you do a fantastic job leading us through this process. Absolutely. I think a hard challenge for me is because my character is so mean. It's like her lines and all of that, like I'll deliver them and I'm thinking, whoa, wait, okay, this is not Karese, this is Karese acting and really getting into the characters, knowing that like it's always fun but challenging to play a complete opposite character to who you are as a person. So it's been fun but also challenging in that way. But you all have been really helpful guiding the process, and just helping those scenes, even through choreography, that's just been able to help me with characterization. So that's cool.
I saw a question in the chat about the two-headed fairy godbot and how they will be physicalized. Would love to speak on that. The two-headed fairy godbot is two humans, as I've said, and we kind of link arms with each other, which is cool. And also, very, very cool, my godbot counterpart, Matt, he knows how to, I don't even know the terminology for this, pop and lock, like the dancing term, hip hop. And so he's taught me that. And so instead of just, hitting our robot hands, we pop it, which is super cool. It's something that I've been learning, and that's been a challenge, is learning a new dance style for me. And yeah, yes, it is like a Siamese twin fairy godbot. It is very fun to rehearse. It's been fun because it's not just me working on my character development, it's me working on my character development, and then my counterpart Matt also working on his character development, and then us coming together and being like, okay, what do we think Fairy Godbot would do here? How would we interact with Cinderella and her robot mouse, Murgatroyd? And it's been very cool. We have a lot of moves where we'll both say something at the same time. We'll say like, what, or something, and I will put my hand on my hip and Matt will put his hand out like this. So it looks like one person doing this, but we're conjoined. So it's been very fun coming up with cool things like that.
Absolutely. And to answer the other part of that, are all of our designers also MFA students? Almost all of them. So Kara, who is in charge of our set and props, she is an MFA design student. I believe this is her qualifier for her thesis, so essentially her first major project. So she has been a fantastic source for all of our amazing props, set. Our giant puppet that is being used was also constructed by Kara, and then another design student who's also an MFA student, Becca, was able to put in the lights for the eyes, so all of that mechanics and hardware. And then Claire is also our MFA lighting design person, so our lighting designer is also an MFA student. Jessie is actually an undergrad student in the theater department, and that is our costume designer. So, I mean, whew, the things I could do in my undergrad, I would not have been able to do something that phenomenal. So Jessie is quite something. And then we do have one of our theater faculty as our sound designer for the show. And I actually just got to preview our sounds on Friday. So we've got some very exciting jet sounds and mechanical tool fixing and all of that sort of stuff that has now become a part of that process as well. So yeah, it's been great to work with so many talented MFA students, and as you know, the theater department and the theater community are so close-knit. So these are all people that I've gotten to see over the last 3 years creating and designing and performing in all of their different classes. And then to see us all sort of be able to come together for this production and what we are able to then produce from there has been really fantastic. And as Jill was talking about with our Fairy Godbot, that was actually one of the major changes to the show's general concept. When I saw the original production, and I absolutely loved it, and I loved the source material, and I loved the script and the music, but I felt like the Godbots were just not what I envisioned for the Godbots. So it's been thrilling to be able to take them from being played normally by two female presenting actors who in the original were designed very similar to like an early Lady Gaga feel. Very pop star, very sparkle, very interesting sort of design. And I had always seen them more along the lines of, if you're familiar with some animation, I always saw them as maybe like the Fairly Odd Parents, Cosmo and Wanda vibes, where they both sort of are the perfect balance to keep each other in check, and that there was a lot of comic relief there, and that even though they're these sort of all-knowing, all information-filled bots, they also are kind of these like old-school silly guys who also happen to love fairy tales and want to grant wishes and create magic. So it's been nice to be able to see those characters sort of blossom into exactly what I was hoping for, and that has something to do with the creative team and what they were able to sort of frame that with costumes and hair and makeup and all of that. But it was also so much to do with Jill and Matt being so fantastic about sort of taking this idea of these nerdy robots who also kind of have this cool side to them, where they can pop and lock, and they can sort of create this magical fantasy for Cinderella. Having that sort of balance was a huge part of the characters, and Jill and Matt were absolutely wonderful in that creation process. And to talk a little bit about what Karese had mentioned as well, is playing a character who's so unlike yourself. And Karese is probably one of the kindest human beings I have ever met, and she certainly is nothing like our sister character that she's playing. So it has been thrilling to be able to see her throw herself into that, and I think audiences are going to absolutely love our stepsisters, because as mean as they can be, these two, Olivia and Karese, have such a wonderful way of balancing the mean with the absolutely ridiculous. And I think that that's what makes their characters be able to have a redeemable arc at the end. Exactly, yeah, kids love having villains they can hate, and wait until you meet our stepmother, who you guys got to see a picture of before in costume. Emily does a wonderful job of mixing all of the classic Disney villains with this sort of wonderful ability to pull her daughters back into the real world, and I think that's wonderful. Basically, the stepsisters are floating around in chaos, and stepmother just knows how to pull them back in at the last moment. And it's a wonderful sort of thing to watch the family dynamic form between Karese and Olivia as sisters, and also Emily as the stepmother. It's been a wonderful process to watch that happen. And I know for myself, I tend to get cast as characters who are very, very silly and wild and comedic, and usually sort of the strange character of the show. So being in a position where my voice part actually fit the character who was supposed to be sort of the voice of reason was a very interesting thing for me as a performer to sort of put myself into. It's been a long time since I played a role of the character who sort of held all of the wild and wonderful characters in place in this very specific story. So that has been something as an actor that's been a fun challenge for me as well. My last role before this one, I was playing Sir Toby Belch in Hawaii Shakespeare Festival's 12th night. So it's been quite a difference between playing a very wild man with a drinking problem and going to playing Cinderella, whose dreams are not only to make space travel easier and safer for everyone, but also to be able to be there for her friends and family. And that was a major inspiration point for myself as well. And if you have any other questions, feel free to keep them coming. Another huge source of inspiration for this project actually came from my grandfather. Cinderella has this amazing relationship with her father, who went missing in space. And her whole life goal has become a way to honor her father by finding ways to make space travel easier and safer for everyone involved, because Cinderella doesn't want anyone else to go through, the sadness of losing that father figure and that person in her life who is her source of inspiration and her source of comfort and care. And for me, sadly I lost my grandfather recently, and it was a major inspiration for me to be able to take this show and everything he had always hoped for me, which was to be a performer and teacher for children, and to be able to put it up is in a way sort of my goal as Cinderella and as the director, as sort of honoring this father figure and this role model in my life who meant so much to me and was such a source of inspiration for me. And yes, exactly, a modern, proactive feminist take on Cinderella. It's exactly what I was hoping for, because I love fairy tales, and I know that sometimes they can feel a little outdated and maybe don't align with everything that we're hoping to pass along to young boys and girls. And for me, this was the perfect way of taking what Cinderella's power always was, which was really, every princess has their own sort of way of showing their power and their courage. And for Cinderella, it was her kindness and her unwavering sort of faith and kindness. And so that was a huge part of, no matter where this is set, no matter what the outcome is at the end with her and the prince, it was important for her to maintain her goal of kindness over everything. And basically it shows that, when you're a good person and you work hard, it might be tough for a while. You might have really tough times. And I think the last, year or two has been a real eye-opener for that sort of feeling, is that, there are going to be these tough times for all of us, but the moments when we're all connecting together and able to sort of give back to our community are sort of the moments when we feel the most connected and that we're able to sort of turn around a bad situation. But it always comes out of the positive. How do we take this situation and put a positive spin on it? And I think that that's something that Interstellar Cinderella does so wonderfully. And being able to talk to I've read so many interviews with Deborah Underwood about her inspiration for writing this book, and it was amazing what she said about children, which was that children decide so early on and so quickly what is and isn't possible from what they see. And this show is a way of showing what is possible and what maybe we haven't seen or don't have enough exposure to for young children. And as much as I think it's a fantastic play for young girls to be able to see a woman in STEM who is achieving her dreams even in this futuristic landscape, I also think it's fantastic for young boys to be able to see that they can rely on their friends and that it's okay to show emotion and to feel conflict and to rely on people no matter who they are. Regardless of whether or not you're a little boy or a little girl, you can find somebody in this play to relate to. So Karese and Jill, I'll turn it over to you guys, and just I'd love to know what's been your favorite part of working on this show, or what's one thing you're looking forward to the audiences sort of getting a chance to see?
Oh, I'm excited to just share this piece. One with all of the creativity involved, and your design and your direction and everybody's hard work. Like, that's just wonderful. I'm excited for everyone to see that. But I don't know. I think like what you were saying, just about encouraging young children that they can achieve what they set their minds to, and being kind, because you see so many dynamics of the brutality and the meanness, but then the kindness, and just how much nicer the world is when people are kinder to each other. And I think that's something I love about TYA and in theater for young audiences, because you're not just engaging with the child, you're engaging with their families. And like their aunts, uncles, parents, cousins, whoever, everyone's coming together. So it's for people of all ages, and to kind of remind everyone about this kindness and it's something that can be told for anyone, no matter what your age is, and it's just a good reminder. It's done in such a kind way itself, so clever and hilarious. And yeah.
Jill, feel free to pop on if you have anything you want to add to the experience.
Yeah, I mean, I love what y'all said. I especially one of the things that very first got me on board with this show was that it's a different and new kind of role model for young girls and for young boys. And I really love that, and I really love being able to help tell that story because we can just expand children's ideas of what is possible. And I think that's really cool.
Absolutely. And I see a question in the chat. So we will be having a talk back with our audience on the final performance day. That's our Sunday matinee. So we will have a chance for audiences to Zoom with us, chat with the cast, be able to get a little sneak peek of what it's like behind the scenes, any of your questions after seeing the show, especially if you're here and then seeing the show. If you have any questions then too, we will be doing a Zoom talk back, which will be announced. I'm also doing some outreach with some organizations related to the university, doing some meet and greets with young audiences and being able to bring the story and bring Cinderella to them, which has been awesome. And yes, my hope is that we will start to reach out to more schools. There is an option, so if you're out there and you know a teacher who you think would love to have their students see this, there is information at the link I'll put in the chat right now. This is all things Cinderella. You can find out ticket information there, and as well as who to talk to about box office. They will send a stream essentially to any of the teachers who apply or talk to their schools and would like to have Interstellar Cinderella be streamed and shown to your classes. So I'm hoping that because this is a streamed production, we can kind of lean into the maybe not so great parts about COVID and be able to let this be an opportunity for people all over the place to tune into the show. So that's been a wonderful piece of that as well, that, you know, I know I'm originally from New Jersey. We have some people from the East Coast, the West Coast. We've got people all over the place in this cast who are now here. So it's lovely to be able to share that show with our mainland family as well, especially because 2 of our shows will be matinees. So if you happen to find yourself on the mainland, you'll also be able to watch at a decent time for an evening performance. So that's been a wonderful little added bonus, especially for some of us whose families can't make it here to see the performance. But my hope is that we continue to sort of expand our outreach to all different young audiences on island to experience the show. And that is the wonderful sort of extra bit to performing during a pandemic is, you know, we've all gotten creative with the way that we're going to show this and what sort of medium we're using. And the hope is, like, if we have to change our medium, that we will make that work to the best for our audience, especially having children be able to see this all over the place. So like both of y'all have mentioned, it's absolutely true that this is a family show, and we're not just reaching young audiences, but we hope to reach whole families that can, really take advantage of the message and be able to have a chat about things afterwards, and hope that this show really shows that to people, that we hope for kindness, that we hope for power to all the little girls out there to achieve whatever dreams they want. I did want to put this up so that if you do have any other questions about the show itself or wanted to see any other information, this is all the information you'll need. It is the official page of the show. You'll be able to see our promo pictures, some interviews that we'll be doing as cast members, all sorts of different things, and that's getting updated as the weeks are progressing and we're doing more for the show. October 22nd to the 24th, we're going to be streaming online. Friday is at 7:30, Saturday and Sunday are at 2 p.m. And if you're a university student, there's all sorts of ticket special things for you to look at. The tickets are very easy to go through the process of to get, and we're just hopeful that we're able to touch a lot of different audiences in the process, and that we're reaching not only young children but also their families and beyond. Any other questions? Feel free to ask. It's been amazing being able to talk about this process with everyone. It's been a difficult but exciting journey to get here, and we are thrilled to be able to offer a show that offers a little bit of everything for everyone. Music. It's got a full score by Lori Berkner, who is a children's music artist, so you may be familiar with some of her other work. I know my first performance as a children's music artist, I was covering Lori Berkner's music, so it's been exciting to be able to produce it and perform it now. And then we have amazing dance numbers that our choreographer Jessica has just put so much love and care into. And we have some awesome scene work that's going on. You're going to be able to see a real intergalactic show. There's going to be a rap. We talk about tools, and we do a little hip-hop number. We do all sorts of dance forms like Jill was talking about. We have some hip-hop and pop and locking that we incorporate into the Godbots. We have a lot of physical comedy with our two stepsisters. So even if the core story is something that you feel like you've seen before, you're in for a little twist at the end, as you sort of noticed in the book, that Cinderella, finds that she'd be much happier with a job than she would to marry the prince. And I'm happy to say that the show sort of follows in that same vein as the book and gives her a little bit more independence at the end, that that there's no need for someone to save her from her situation, but that she's been able to achieve herself, and that she now has a friend in the prince. And I think that's really lovely, and I think it aligns more with what my hope is as a TYA creator and the message that I'm hoping to give to young audiences and their families. Hello, Roger.
Hi, Taylor. That was a pretty amazing presentation, and your stamina is extraordinary.
Thank you. We've got a lot of practice, lots of rehearsals.
I had the sense that everything you've been doing was in your head at the same time, and you told us. I mean, it was an amazing amount of information. We got a very vivid idea of what it's been like to show up and why you did it, and it looks absolutely charming. So
thank you.
Wish you really the very best with it. As I said, this is being recorded, and it will be up eventually in a form of highlights. So it seemed to me the whole thing was a highlight, and it'll be up for a year, so you can use it as a credential anytime.
Excellent. Well, it's been great talking to everyone. I am so thrilled that we got to share a little bit about our show, and hope we'll have some familiar faces streaming in.
I have beside me my wife, Eden Lee, who's a great friend of Mark Branagh.
Yes.
They worked together quite a bit, and so I think she enjoyed it.
Oh, hello, Eden. I saw you in Hawaii Shakes.
Ah, funny that you recognize me.
Oh, yes, it's wonderful. I got to work with R. Kevin the last 2 summers, and it's been a blast.
Nice, very nice. No, this sounds like such fun, and your energy is infectious. Yeah.
Thank you. It's been a blast. We're very lucky that during all of the chaos of the last couple of years, we've got a great crew, great team, cast, creative. That's made the process a lot easier.
I can't imagine it was ever easy, but it must have been totally engaging.
Absolutely. It's been a lot with the pandemic, but we're so thrilled that we're back in some capacity and able to deliver a show.
I'm going to let you go. Thank you very much again for a fabulous presentation.
Great. Thank you so much. Thanks, guys, for participating, and it's been a blast. Bye-bye.